going to not use one, some of the very good points I'm always going to use in this available, and that is, you want to ask, like, can anyone hear me if someone has a hearing problem? They don't want to keep saying they have a hearing problem everywhere they go. Just be like,
That's it.
Just assume. What did you say?
Yeah. All right, this is in our panel.
It has been?
Yes.
This is
It happened so fast
this
you
was
didn't
so
even realize it.
in the blink of an eye
Flash of a
panel.
panel.
And that's how you make it for cheap. You don't even use a camera.
Do you think if we do some like maybe like some sexual groans that more people will come in and see what's happening and then, like to draw in? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. That'll get people in here. Ooh, baby.
I'm not sure.
That is great.
No, wrong moan?
I don't
Okay,
think this
all
is the
right.
kind of moan we're looking for.
that's so sleepless
I'll have what she's having.
When Harry met that.
That was Harry Massage.
Oh yeah. That's
From Dr. Zero.
Also that commercial, the hair commercial from 2 years ago.
yes.
All right then.
Yes.
Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mike's
welcome to the Revenge of Zerby panel. Saturday night in Tucson. I know it's a small group, but I can tell that it's a really good group. And we are going to measure the success.
Come on in, quick!
No.
Before it's too late.
Thank you for checking.
Let's sell the panel.
Not by the number of attendees, but by their character and their enthusiasm.
That's a nice one, Jeff. That is sweet. He knows all the right words to say.
Panelists, I forgot to tell you that I was going to seat you in a particular order because I had planned it all out that way, but I forgot to tell you that. So I've got the first one right. Starting at the left, Marty Ketola, editor, co-writer, and director, and executive producer. On this side, Christina Pflueger, a marvelous actor. On her right, Nate Campbell, one of the male leads. And on his right, Bradford Trojan, who plays the legendary writer Billy Shaw in our film. And I'm Geoffrey Notkin. I was one of the producers and art director and a few other things. So for those of you who are not familiar, we're going to show you with it. We're going to show you a little trailer first, and then we're going to tell you some stories about how we made this film in Tucson, an actual feature film for an extremely modest budget, and it recently won an award at the Silver State Film Festival in Las Vegas. It was given Best Science Fiction Feature. So we'll start with this, and you'll have an idea.
Hope your man got that tractor beam out of commission, and this is gonna be a real short trip. Okay, hit it! Right? Don't even bother trying to remember what went down the last 3 days. Night buzz whispered out of one haze, making love in the after hours. Taxis that drive in Madrid, sleeping with women, waking with kids, wondering over breakfast what it was you did. Well, you've been hitting on hard times, oh yeah, hitting on hard times, oh yeah, hitting on hard times, oh yeah, yeah. You got it all, but you want more.
Excellent job on that trailer, Marty.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Our very talented editor. So the film will be released to the public within probably the next few months. We hope. It's on the festival circuit at the moment, has been screened at numerous festivals around the country. And I'm going to ask each of you to reminisce a little bit about the film, and you will be accompanied by an action shot of yourself on location. So Marty, if you would if you would start, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got mixed up with this gang of rascals.
Well, I've been doing media here in Tucson for close to 30 years, and ever since the Access Tucson station closed down, it kind of forced me into doing what I wanted to do, which is make film. And so I've decided to see if anybody else was crazy enough to make movies for pretty much no money. We pay people a little something, you know, but mostly we do this just for the love of it. It would be great to make a buck off of it, but the whole point is to get together with, you know, like-minded individuals and create something that we all enjoy and hopefully others will enjoy. I do it because I love producing, I love editing, much like I'm sure Bradford here does it because he loves acting, and same for Nate and Christina, and Jeff loves set directing. And so it gives us an opportunity to just kind of express ourselves without having any, you know, if we were lucky enough to have corporate control telling us what we can and can't do, it's kind of nice you have that complete freedom that comes along with having an incredibly low budget. But that doesn't mean to compromise on quality at all. It just means figuring out a way to do it on the cheap and have it still look like $1 million.
Thank you. And we've all worked at varying degrees. All of us have had experience in professional film and television, cable access, and Christina's done a lot of live stage work, productions around town and also old Tucson. And we've all had that experience, I think, of being involved in a larger production where there are so many people involved. And it's been a frustration of mine in network television that everybody has to have their say. And there's so many producers, and everybody wants to make sure they've got their little stamp or they're heard. And there's a lot of money at stake in some cases. And so we had a very, in my experience, a very unique working relationship in that it was an extremely friendly and supportive family. Worked together. We didn't have arguments on set. We got a bit stressed at times, but it was an uncommonly friendly and supportive atmosphere. Christina, tell us about your involvement with the film, and I remember with great happiness the day that we filmed at Isle of Games. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is that we didn't build any sets. Well, we used one set in the fake trailer at the beginning, but everything was shot on location in Tucson and Marana. And we used our houses and friends' houses and offices and hotels around town and an old beaten up car and really anything that we could get. So there's some great scenes that were shot at Isle of Games, the game store, and also Charlie's Comics on Cole. So Christina, remind us about that super filming day, please.
Hi everyone. So as Jeff had mentioned, apart from this, I've done theater and live performances in town, and I've been a part of film and theater for over 15 years now. So when I did get cast in this film, it was very, very exciting. It was the first film where I wasn't necessarily a lead role, but important supporting type of role, and it was outside of the type of character that I'm normally casted as, so that was really exciting. This particular filming night, I had actually never been to this store before, so that was really interesting, being able to actually use the items that were in the store in our filming, because it was filled with games. And it was a really long night from what I remember, because we did like 2 separate scenes. Well, yeah, but I was a part of a lot of the filming, but the filming that we did for the other scenes, it was like one scene that we worked on for a while, and this one was actually several scenes that we had filmed in one place. And it was actually a whole lot of fun.
So we should mention to the audience that you and Nate have a romantic relationship in the film. They have absolutely great chemistry, and Christina's really, really charismatic actor. And one of the scenes that we shot, we'll talk about later, was a romantic dinner that they have, and it was we needed to be in a nice restaurant, and we were trying to figure out how to do that. And Cliff, who is Marty's co-writer and co-director on the film, said to me, he goes, "Oh, Jeff, we haven't really sorted out the restaurant. And we're filming. We're in filming." And Marty and Cliff are super organized. They really plan out the shoots in advance, which you have to when you're doing principal photography on a feature film in 2 weeks, which is pretty much unheard of in the business. So we scrambled to find a restaurant, and I have friends. How many of you remember Cafe Tremolo in the Foothills Mall in the Northwest? Did any of you ever go there? It was a marvelous restaurant. It had guitars in shadow boxes all the way around. The chef was a music fanatic and a guitarist. So I called them up and I said, "Hey, we need a really great location. Can we shoot?" And it was it Easter weekend?
It was actually on Easter.
Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
So the restaurant was closed, and they opened it up specially for us, and we shot the romantic dinner scene there. So there's a lot of nicely kind of leaning on friends and cashing in on favors, like, "Could you please open our restaurant?" And we gave them some money. We said, "Please cater dinner for the crew, and we'll pay you for that." But we avoided the customary location fees that would be involved if you went to a well-known place. And there's a very nice shot of the restaurant in the film, their logo. So there's a nice amount of payback there. So Nate, you are a fantastic comic actor. You have a lot of physical power and humor. You've got great timing, and so I picked this very dramatic photograph where our friend and co-star Eric Schumacher is attempting to strangle you in Charlie's Comics. So
Still feel that one.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I still feel when Rachel was trying to strangle me in the trailer. So which we'll talk about later. So tell us your tale, Nate.
My tale? I've done a few student films and shoestring budget films here in Tucson over the past 10, 15 years or so. I'd go years without even hearing from anybody from the film industry. One day I got a lark and checked out Craigslist for gigs, and one of them was this crazy guy over here casting for a movie that what was it? Writing Frenzy. It was from, what year was it?
09.
09, so it's a little bit ago. And I read for the part, and part of the read involved a pratfall. And of the people that read for it, I was the only one that actually performed the pratfall without even prompting at all. I was just like, it's part of the scene. It's what you do, And I guess that impressed them enough to bring me on board. So I just kept reading, trying really hard, and didn't want to be the anchor that held them back. So they kept calling me back for the last movie. They called me back for this next one's coming up, and hopefully they keep doing so, because I really enjoy this, and yeah.
And there's a lot of physical humor with you in the film. You get slapped, you get strangled.
I get slapped 37 times. Part of the outtakes was just nothing but me getting slapped over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Marty, did we get him to sign a waiver about an injury waiver?
I told them to sell it, to go ahead and slap me full on, because
do that.
if it didn't look right, it's not going to be funny. So yeah,
I thought he liked it.
I didn't. I didn't. No. I'm not
It's
into
like
it.
I'm saying, he does this just so he can get slapped. It's one
It's
of
like
those
a
things.
fetish.
No. Well, it's really not.
We'll see.
We'll keep that on the download for you.
I'm
I
charging
felt
by the
like-
slap next time.
I felt like I missed out because we were together and I didn't even get to slap him. So
You get a good.
Maybe we can write that into the scene.
Oh, that's true. I
Neither
did.
me nor my character did anything to deserve a slap from you. From these other guys, maybe, but I don't know.
Bradford Trojan.
Hello.
You play Billy Shaw, who is a brilliant but drug and alcohol-addled writer who comes to Tucson
Yeah.
in order to try and salvage his friendship with his friends in the comic book industry.
I'm addled.
I know that you're a modest guy, and that I'm probably going to embarrass you, but you're one of the most powerful and committed actors I've ever worked with. You're so convincing, especially there are many scenes where you have to portray a character who's drunk or high on drugs, and it's so convincing. And I was there all the time, and I know that you weren't drinking.
That's true.
I actually made the fake whiskey for you, and it was just tea.
It's delicious.
So to me, this photograph really sums up your performance.
It might not have alcohol or drug involvement, but it's sleep deprivation for sure. Just because I remember the night before we were doing green screen car scenes in the garage, and it was it just went way longer than you think. You think you're going to do a scene in a film, and it's like one scene could be hours. You're just doing hours of different shots and takes. It's crazy. It's crazy. So we went really late the night before, and I remember waking up and just like, we're going to do the drug scene. I was like, great. I'm all fried. It's perfect. This is wonderful timing.
Did we even eat that day? I have no memory.
I don't
of
think
eating
we
that
ate.
day.
No, I think it was kind of like go home and sleep a little bit, and then come out and just go meet at the in Morena, and it was also kind of surreal because there was a drone flying over at one point. It was like, who's that? That's not one of ours. It was weird, but yeah. So it was a blast, definitely a blast, and trying to kind of jump in without. I'm not a method actor, obviously, because I don't drink or do drugs. And to get in there, and I have done that. So maybe just pulling in, maybe releasing some of that from the fatty tissue in my body, and then letting it come out.
You don't have any fatty tissue.
It's in there somewhere. Got some in the rump. It was a blast filming. I'm really stoked, and it's just it's great. I do a lot of like commercial work, and I enjoy that. It's fun, and it's also like it pays pretty well. So then I can do films here in Tucson that are just like a blast and a really great crew. And like you were saying, we all became really good friends. It was really nice. And I keep saying an ensemble. It feels like an ensemble that we developed here in town. And I'm super excited for next week to start filming the next.
We're an ensemble of unknowns.
We actually are shooting a sequel to Revenge of Zoe, which is called The Love Song of William H. Shaw. And we begin filming on this coming Friday at Tucson Science Fiction Convention. And this is a very serious offer. If any of you are interested in being extras, possibly even featured extras with a speaking part, let us know. We are looking for a few people, and my very good friends Linda and Jessica, who are sitting here, both have speaking parts in the new film. And our friends of ours that we met, and Linda helped with fundraising with the last film, and so we just have a history of casting people that we like in parts that we think they would be good for.
This is almost like a slap, but you know what? I can slap my slap back. I kind of give reaction.
Yes, we know that about you.
Yeah, you want to forward fight that kind of stuff.
One of the things that we really wanted to do in this film, because it's about the world of comic books, is we wanted to populate it with cartoonists and real comic book art. Does anyone recognize this brilliant cartoonist? Apart from people who were in the film. This is Lucas Turnblom, who does a daily strip called Imagine This, and he's had great success in the past few years with a graphic novel called Dream Jumper, which was published by Scholastic. And Lucas is an old friend of mine. When I was doing the Meteorite Men television show, he followed me on Twitter, and I followed him back, and we started chatting. He goes, I love your show. I'm like, I love your comic book. And we ended up becoming really great friends. And he put us, I was one of the two hosts of Meteorite Men, he put us as ourselves into his comic strip. And he was almost the only person who was allowed to go out with us when we were filming the show. And so when we came up with this idea of populating the movie with real cartoonists, he was very high on our list. And he flew out from San Diego to do a very funny bit part. And anyone recognize this famous science fiction writer, apart from people who were in the film? Why don't you tell us, Nate?
That man sitting down in the chair there is the man who saved Star Wars. That's Timothy Zahn, and that's no exaggeration.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, there was no Star Wars except for the original trilogy and a couple of comic books and one or two novels that you could only find, from like 20 years ago in like a used paperback store. This guy wrote a trilogy of novels, Heir to the Empire, in the 90s that revitalized Star Wars. We wouldn't have the sequel trilogy, we wouldn't have the prequel trilogy if it wasn't for this man right there. So when we got to meet him at Tucson Con a couple years ago, everybody was kind of like in awe, naturally. But one of us had the temerity to say, hey, why don't we get this guy on board? So fortunately, we got him and got a couple of cameo scenes, and it's been pretty awesome. The guy's really, really cool. If you ever get a chance to chat with him, absolutely do so.
And that person with the tenacity was you, Nate.
Shut up.
But, it's good because it shows, that here we are, the producers, and we didn't have the guts, and you're like, hey, can you be in our movie? And we're
Why
like, what are
not?
you doing? And he's like, sure. So
It
I'm
was
glad
that
you
easy.
did
It really
that.
was that easy.
Good work, Nate.
So when we're pitching stuff, bring me along next time, huh?
Yeah, definitely. No, we're just going to send you in. Let Nate and just drop Nate by parachute.
You, me, him, and Cliff. Let's go down to Hollywood and pitch some movies. Let's do it.
And this location is actually my house. It's my home office. And this is one of many spaces that we had access to among our houses and our friends' houses and our offices that we just retrofitted. And one of the things in film that you have to be careful of is you can't just put any old thing on the wall. So if we put Spider-Man poster and some Star Wars posters and things on the back wall, we could get in trouble because we don't have necessarily permission to use that. You'd think they'd be glad of the publicity, but it doesn't actually work that way. So this is all artwork that I either was involved with or licensed from friends and everything. You do have to think those things through. This is the theatrical poster that was illustrated by Carl Ottersberg, who is a brilliant cartoonist who lives in Indianapolis. And there's Bradford's character, Billy, agonizing over the character. And Frenzy, also known as Zoe, who's the superhero in the film, is played by Rachel Netherton, who is a wonderful local actor. And this is a very important prop in the film. It's a comic book that's very central to the story. And so we hired the cartoonist Rhea Golden, who lives in Santa Fe, to do this. And she works with George R.R. Martin, you've probably heard of. And so there are many cartoonists, comic book people, and science fiction writers, creators in this film. It's something that was really important to us, to put as many of them into it as we could.
You know what I never noticed until just now, Jeff?
What?
Is there's a little bit of Irvin Stafford's art still. The upper left-hand corner there, the little logo. And Irvin is right here.
Oh my gosh! I didn't know that was you!
Nice.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I did some of the masthead stuff for them.
Oh, fantastic!
Cool.
Well, thank you for
Wow.
being
The
here.
logo,
Thank you
too.
for your enormous contributions.
Oh, really?
There
Awesome.
are numerous. So, did you do the covers of the comic books from the first film?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's several scenes. I'm sure you've seen Zoe. There's several scenes where they're used. Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
We got
Cool.
old comics codes.
Yeah,
Online.
yeah, that's your artwork. I designed this, and I wanted it to refer back to the earlier ones.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. Do we have a license from you to use it? Do you guys have any comments about the casting and the cameos and all that?
I think we got really lucky this time around. I mean, whenever you start one of these things, you think, where are all these people going to come from? And then it's just you just go out there and you try to find them, and magically they all came to us, and it was pretty much the perfect cast, and everything really went together smoothly for that one. This new one, we're going so fast that it's a little crazy getting it going, but like last week when we had our first little read through, it just felt like the magic was back like right away. So I'm very much looking forward to starting in only a few days.
Oh my god.
So this was one of the primary locations that we used. This is Charlie's Comics. This is a working comic book store on Kolb in East Tucson. And Marty, you and Charlie are friends. How did all this come about? How did you convince a very nice gentleman who makes his living from this shop to let us run rampant through it for about 2 weeks during business hours?
Well, back in 2006, when we were trying to make the first installment of this comic book movie series, which we didn't even know was going to be a series, we were just trying to make one movie. I tried all the comic book shops in town. A lot of them, said, "Oh yeah, call back and talk to so and so," and you call back, and they'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?" So it's like, why don't you just tell me no in the first place, right? And then go somewhere else. And we were going to create our own fake comic shop and rent a place out, decorate the walls. Glad we didn't have to do that, because we could have pulled it off, but it just wouldn't have been right. And so I was at the end of my rope with it. What are we going to do? And one of my old coworkers said, "Do you ever try Charlie's store?" I'm like, "Charlie's Comics, haven't heard of that one." "Oh yeah, blah blah, give him a call." So I called him up. I'd never met the man before. Just said, "We're shooting a movie. Would you think we'd be able to shoot?" "Sure." "What? You don't even know me. You've never met?" "Yeah, sure. Just come on by." "What?" And we went over there, talked to him. He's just as nice as could be, completely accommodating. And geez, I've been friends with the man for almost 15 years now. But yeah, he's great. We shot in his old store twice, and now we shot in his new store once, and we're gonna shoot there again. He just loves watching us do it. He's a good gauge because you can tell by the look on his face if we're doing good work. If he starts laughing, then you know we hit something right. If he's sitting there kind of like, it's like, what are we not getting here?
Yeah.
So, Charlie Harris, support his store. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he was extremely generous to us, and just a good sport, and he was conducting business, so he didn't close the store. There were sometimes we shot off hours, or we were doing a complicated scene, and so you're welcome to come in if you like. Okay, so boy, I totally lost my train of thought. So, oh yes, so there were numerous times when we were filming, and we had to wait because there were customers and things happening. And there was at least one instance where someone was in the store for so long that Marty went up, it was you, right? You went up to him and said, would you like to be an extra in our film? And we just kept on filming and we just put an actual customer in.
Oh yeah, I think Cliff did that. At one point he even said, here Charlie, you fill out a release too because you're waiting on this customer and you're just in the background of the shot now.
And so all three of you did pretty significant scenes, especially you, Nate, in the comic book store. Tell us about, so we had traffic noise, we had people coming in, we had the bell on the door,
Oh my God.
we had the bright yellow, the really strange yellow, blue, and red color scheme in there that was kind of wacky. So what was your experience of working in an actual in-action comic book store?
It was pretty exciting. Like anytime you had a little bit of downtime, you had plenty of material to peruse.
Yeah.
That's always a fun time. One of the weird things about us making a comic book, our movie about comic book fans, is that we're all actually comic book fans. So convenient that.
Yeah, you all spent a lot of money in that.
Probably not as much as we should have, not as much as Charlie wanted us to.
How many people bought something in Charlie's comics while we were there? Wow. That's okay.
So we're paying it back, you know. I mean, he helped us out, and we're helping him out, you know. Charlie's a great place. Even like Kevin Smith has given shout outs to Charlie.
Yeah, he was there soon after I think.
Like
Yeah,
within a month or two, I
He was
think.
doing a
after.
video, and I'm like, what is he doing
Yeah,
in
it's
our
like, wait,
sets?
he's at
I'm like, I
Charlie's.
think it's the store, but to me, I'm like, that's our set, you know. So it just kind of blew my mind to see him in there hanging out with Charlie.
And I was like, hey, you guys gone down there to say hi to him? No, he didn't.
And Drew over at Isle of Games was more than accommodating too. His store was closed at the time, but we had the so much product in his store that we had to deal with fuzzing out. Oh, we got a question.
Yeah, so Kevin Smith from Phoenix and so what was he doing? Like a movie or?
Well, he was in town doing one of his, live stand-up shows at like Rialto or something,
okay.
and he just happened to frequent some of the shops in town while
He's
he
a comic
was there,
fan.
and he did a little Instagram video or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good thing that you recovered from
The heart attack.
Yeah.
heart attack.
totally.
So in keeping with our idea of how are we gonna make this dream, this vision of film a reality, we're going to use as many existing locations as we possibly can. And so this is Cliff Campbell. He is Marty's co-writer and co-director, and he could not be here today because he's coming next week to start work on the next film.
No
And so-
relation.
I'm sorry?
No relation.
No
Both,
relation.
Our Campbell's, both of our last names were no relation.
That is funny.
Sure about that.
Why haven't I thought?
No, I'm not sure about
I don't
that.
think I ever really put that
About
together.
90% sure.
So one of many locations that we use is my company office, which is near the university, just off Speedway, and we needed a bar scene, and so this is actually the shipping room in my office, and we shot this at night so as not to drive my staff crazy, and we brought in a smoke machine. What was the smoke machine like, Marty?
I just remember more smoke. And sometimes it would be so much you couldn't see anything, but we had fun with that thing.
Somehow I ended up being the smoke machine wrangler. I think it was because I was just very keen to do that. And that the guys do tease me about that still. And so in the sunglasses there is Frank Powers, who is a local impresario that you might know. He's a radio show host and an artist and all around brilliant guy. So in keeping with this comic book theme and us wanting to have loads of, as our friend and colleague Eric Schumacher likes to say, a lot of Easter eggs, all of these are beer, cases of beer in the back, and we did the labels custom. So they're all named after cartoonists. So we've got Kurtzman Schnapps, Peony Mead. This is my favorite. This Kirby, I can't even read it.
Nickel Fist.
Nickel Fist, thanks. And Adam's Awful Ale. So we saved all of those they're going to be perks in our next crowdfunder, aren't they?
Nice.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So there's really a lot of attention to detail. So we didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of creativity. And so there were many instances. I said to one of my coworkers, "Can you please go to the liquor store? You know Plaza Liquors on Campbell?" So the guy who owns it's a big Star Trek fan. And so whenever I go in there over the years, I talk to him about Star Trek. And so I said to one of my coworkers, "Can you go to Plaza Liquors, ask to see the owner, tell him that you work with the British guy who's always in there talking about Star Trek, and could we possibly have some beer boxes? And we'll give them a thank you in the movie." And they said, "Sure." And they just loaded up the pickup truck with empty, but they didn't give us free beer, empty boxes. But that's the kind of resourcefulness that we needed to do. And so I knocked out these labels in the morning and cut them out, pasted them on, took them out in the car park in the back, and kicked them around, dirtied them up. And then one of our cameramen came in and he saw that and he goes, "Wow, these labels are great. When did you do that?" And I said, "This morning." And he goes, "No, but I mean, when did you design them and put them into it?" "I did it this morning." And he goes, "Well, all of those this morning?" I go, "Yeah, we don't have time to waste. We've only got 14 days to shoot this movie." Bradford, why don't you tell us about this scene, which was this was shot in the parking lot behind my office at night, much to the amusement of our neighbours, probably.
Yeah, it was fun. It was.
You call that fun?
Did a lot of it was a crash pad, so it was nice and safe. Did a lot of practices beforehand because the bouncer launches me out, and I have to fly off into the garbage. And I remember the garbage was very well placed. There was a lot of care and tender love put into that garbage to make it safe for me. But yeah, it was nice, very soft. It's not memory foam, but it's it was a lot of fun getting there, and it was kind of like knowing that was the first scene of the movie. I think even though things are filmed out of order when you're filming, I think just like going into that and just knowing this is our first one. It's like boom, we're gonna hit it. And I did.
Marty, I remember you and Eric being a bit concerned because we were physically throwing Bradford onto the ground.
We got on the first take too,
we did get
which
on
is
the first
kind of
take.
wild.
And Marty, do you remember what you and Cliff said?
I said that no second takes, because the film gods have smiled on the set. We got it. Everybody agreed it was good. We throw him again, he's going to end up breaking an arm or something. So
It's true.
and as you can
remember
see in the
that so
trailer, it worked. So yeah.
And usually in movies you do a safety shot, so there's always at least a safety.
But
And,
our safety was your safety.
That exactly. Boom.
And I remember that evening with a great deal of amusement because our co-star Eric Schumacher is a martial arts expert and a film professional and very safety conscious. And he was going around and he was checking everyone and he was looking and he's talking to everyone. He goes, "This is very serious, very serious. We have to be really careful. We can't afford for anybody to get injured." And Bradford's like, "Just throw me out there, it'll be fine. It's only concrete. How bad can it be?" and it is right at the beginning of the film, so it was very well done. This is my bedroom, and this is the normal scene that was shot there. There's a very funny, kinky scene that is shot between the two of them. And sometimes when I go home,
Tastefully
I walk into
kinky.
my bedroom, I have this moment where I go, "Oh, that's where they did the kinky bedroom scene with the pirate and the mermaid in my bed." And somehow, when we were talking about where to shoot this, I volunteered to allow my house to be used. Why did I do that?
You just knew it would be the best place to do it. You even had these stuffed octopus to complete the ocean motifs.
That is true, and a flintlock pistol.
What's good for the
which
franchise.
we lent to Sarah.
And did you paint the sheets, right? I remember painting the sheets.
Yeah, and I actually purposefully went, I've probably had these leopard skin sheets, I don't know, a really long time. And I purposefully put them on the bed. I thought that would be perfect. And then the crew shows up and Cliff goes, "Of course you have legs." That's just
Leopard
perfect
skin.
with the scene. So that was just one more example of us using what we had, which was my house, and whatever psychic scars I may carry from that experience, seeing
Oklahoma!
my best friends in my bed,
Oklahoma!
dressed up as a mermaid. It's just something I'll have to deal with in therapy, but I feel that it added a lot to the film. All right. So this is in the northwest, up near White Standing Ranch. So Marana area, out close to Marana Regional Airport. So tell us about this day. This was our big desert shooting day. Why did we do this?
Well, as Bradford said, we had shot all night the night before, had maybe 3 hours of sleep, and then proceeded to go out in the desert during the hottest day of the year at the time.
Yeah.
And nobody got sunburned, which is crazy enough. And we just shot this crazy dream sequence. It was really free form. Everybody just ran out with a couple different groups of cameras, and then they came back with this crazy dream sequence. Then after that, we ran to the hotel, shot the hotel scene, and after that, we ran all the way to the south side of town and shot your all's other
Our bedroom
house
scene, yeah.
scene.
Ooh la la.
And then I proceeded to collapse at that point. But that was probably about 16-hour day or something. That was nuts. That was the day I said I don't remember eating.
Yeah.
Which you should always feed your crew. It's very important. But it came out great, and we kind of went into it going, what are we doing? But it worked out. So that's kind of the, you got to be planned, but on scenes like this, it was nice to be able to have that free form where you could just go out and just create.
And we didn't exactly have the location nailed down that morning. We drove around and looked at a few spots, and then we eventually decided which one it was going to be. There was quite a bit of winging that day, which we normally don't do quite that much.
I remember Cliff saying, like, I got in the truck with you, and you're like, oh, we're going to go over here. And he's like, where the hell is Jeff taking me? And we're driving over all these mountains, and then we end up in this perfect spot.
So what do you, this prompts an interesting topic. So our three actors, our three wonderful actors on the panel. So tell us about stamina and what you have to do to take care of yourself when you're on a long shoot. You're working day after day after day. And so Marty and Cliff and I and the rest of us, we've got technical stuff, we've got set stuff, we've got cameras and sound and whatever, but you've got lines. So in addition to being there and all the things that have to be done, looking good, remembering to eat and all those things we talked about, you've got to deliver lines in a believable manner. So how do you maintain your stamina and positive attitude during a long, quite taxing shoot like this one?
I think the cast has a lot to do with that, depending on who you're working with and the chemistry there. Because, I have done extra work in Western films where you're just an extra and you're walking out there and you've got boots on and you're out there for 8 hours filming. Okay, that's great, back to one. Okay, that's great, back to one. And it's just nothing but standing. Whereas, depending on the crew that you're with and, like I said, the chemistry, I don't think there was really ever, of course, I didn't do 16-hour day of filming with this project specifically, but I had so much fun. The time went by so fast. I didn't really feel like I was taxed at all as far as that goes, but...
Oh, we'll give you more lines in the next one.
Yes!
We are, actually.
Thanks for mentioning that.
I would say I've done a lot of different kinds of jobs, lots of different stuff. I've been in the Navy, I've been a security guard, I've done, retail, I've done all kinds of stuff. The hardest job I've ever done has been filmmaking, for sure. It's also been the most fun and the most rewarding, for sure. It's also been the least pain. So it's weird how all that works out, but it is definitely worthwhile. It is tiring, especially on those long shoots, especially when we have to keep repeating the same lines as close to consistent each delivery, which is not easy to do. Mostly you get it through repetition. Keep practicing lines, rehearsing, playing off each other, getting the timing down, and then it just becomes a matter of just repeating it. Being tired on a long shoot like that sometimes can be a big benefit too, because depending on what your character is supposed to be doing, looking like, sounding like, my character is at the point of exhaustion throughout most of this film, so having myself physically tired already was, if anything, a bit of an assist for a little bit of the method, I suppose. Brad?
It's true. It's like you have to be patient, and it's kind of like the hurry up and wait, because you get everything ready. You just have to like jump to it, and then you're just waiting. A lot of it's just waiting around.
A lot of it.
There's I was blessed to do a TV show in New Mexico a few months ago, and it's like, you know, one scene. It's an opening to this TV show, and we were there for, I don't know, 12 hours just doing this like one line. It's crazy how much time is spent, and it's, I mean, it's just smaller, scaled down on a small budget, but I mean, it's like still just so much time. You're just waiting, and then you have to just jump into it real quick. You know, you have to jump into a character depending on what emotional state they're at, and then come out, and you know, and it's a lot of jumping around, like, because we were saying the movies don't film linear sequentially. You just have to like jump in at different times and just know where you're at, whatever character is doing at the time, and have to be in that.
Another thing about, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that 16-hour days are really common in Hollywood for actors, every day. But I guess it's kind of the same though. You like basically have to go to sleep after that and nothing else. But anyways, question on him. What TV show was it in New Mexico?
I can't say yet
Can't say
because
yet.
no, I had to sign a lot of stuff.
Was it like a major TV show?
Mhm.
Okay, but they'll be out soon.
Breaking Bad 2.
I think so.
It's El Camino.
I've tried. I've auditioned. I'll say this: I have auditioned for Better Call Saul, and I wish, but
What is
it's
it,
hard.
Like a streaming service?
It's yeah. It's like a yeah. But I just can't. I can't say it. I would totally tell you. I just can't. I'm not allowed. I just sign all kinds of stuff,
And they do a
NDAs.
lot of stuff in New Mexico. Though.
There's a lot happening in New Mexico, and maybe just a quick point on that is that New Mexico does have a lot happening. It's a booming film industry right now, and so well, there's a big conversation to have that's not going to happen right now with like Tucson, Arizona. What's happening there? What I can say though, at least, is that Tucson offer in Arizona. If people are coming to film here, they have the benefit of maybe not the incentives, but they have this great opportunity to be in locations and filming in places for maybe nothing, not having to pay anything, and that says a lot. I think that does count for a lot of being able to kind of like find really cool spots, and nowhere in the world looks like Arizona, like Tucson and the Sonora. So it's, you know. You
And
gotta
that's-
come here to get that look.
I guess I'm just really surprised that there's not a lot of filming done in Arizona or Tucson anymore. There used to be a lot of films, like,
Well-
Three Amigos was one of them. There's a lot of them.
The problem in Arizona is that the state doesn't offer
Yeah.
attractive tax incentives
Yeah, that's
like
right.
New Mexico does.
Yeah.
But there's some people, some of us are trying to change
There's
that.
hope.
Yeah.
And Marana
A new
is,
hope.
is very enthusiastically supporting film, and so there is some hope, but it's going to be a long journey to get back to where we were.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense for.
You're absolutely
because,
right.
Because if you get a lot of films filming here, you can get a lot of money, and the economy is going to be really running. It doesn't really make any sense for them to just have huge, taxes for. I don't
So
know.
what happens in some of the other states, Tennessee is another state that offers enormous tax incentives, is that if a production comes to a certain town and makes a film there, they are given back in cash up to 30 or 35% of the money that they spent. So that's a lot of money, and Arizona's not willing to match these other states yet, but hopefully they will.
Yeah, I think the payout would be really good for Arizona.
It would be great for us. I want to move on because we have a little bit more time. I'd like each of our panelists, I'd like to ask each of you if there's anything that you didn't talk about that you would like to talk about, and then we'll save time for a couple more questions from the audience. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
asking.
I just want to get in a plug for Tucson for next weekend. Not only are we shooting the movie, the next movie there over 3 days. On next Friday, I think it's at 5 p.m., we are showing Revenge of Zoe there again. So if you just want to see the movie we made that we were talking about, your opportunity is next Friday. Of course, you have to do the Tucson membership to get in, but there's all sorts of fun stuff going on over there. If you like this con, you're going to like that con too, so go to all of them.
Where is that building?
That is over at the Sheraton on Grant, 5151 East Grant. I have memorized the address.
Yeah, it's the It's the Tucson Sheraton, right?
Yes.
There it is right
East
there.
Grand. And it's a wonderful small convention. It's the 46th consecutive year. And they've been extremely supportive of us. We actually did the world premiere of this film, Revenge of Zoe, at the convention last year. And we are now filming there. And it's a serious offer that if any of you are interested in participating, in being an extra, or even just observing,
I got some
please let us know.
So,
Good work, Marty. Bradford, what about you? Anything you want to say? I don't mean to put you on the spot, I think. Think about it. Nate always.
Let me
has something
think.
he wants to say.
Yeah.
Let Nate go. Nate, go.
All right. Something I was going to mention a minute ago. One of the things about film is that whenever you're shooting the scene, it's a coordinated dance of many people. You got your camera guy, you got your sound guy, you got your director, you got whoever's in charge of script. You got all the different actors, all have to interact with each other. Any background stuff, any extras you got going. It's a massive degree of choreography just to get the scene to work. And again, he's got to repeat it several times because you got to have several takes on it. Where was I going with this? I had this whole thing figured out, and then we kept on getting sidetracked on it. It's a coordinated effort. It's a hard thing to get done, to get everybody to work together on it. And we had a way of just meshing really well on it. I don't know. I had something I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was right now.
Was it very profound?
It was.
Really,
It was incredibly.
It was the
profound.
meaning of
all our
life.
attendees could have taken it home and go,
It
"I
was,
really
but it
enjoyed
poured out of my
now."
ears like 10
Yeah.
minutes ago. I
I
don't
think
know.
that Nate said at the end was so profound. I feel that it's maybe even adjusted my direction in life.
It's transcended all of us. We can no longer remember it. Yeah.
Christina, is there anything else you'd like to
Oh,
share with the audience?
this is so much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. You think of all these things you're going to say, and then you get up here and it just completely leaves your mind. There's so much teamwork and team building that is involved in all of this. Recently I started working for an escape room, and that's all that they're about is team building. And I can't think of anything that I've done in my life that has more companionship, teamwork than working in film. Kind of like what he was mentioning, there are just so many different things that are involved in all of this. And as I was mentioning earlier, I think I was in about 4 or 5 scenes, and now I just kind of feel like I didn't work as hard as everyone else, because one scene I'm laying in a bed the whole time, the other one we're in a restaurant and I'm sitting the whole time, so I'm really excited for the sequel, to be able to interact with so many more actors than I did the first time. I think that's what I'm most excited for, and I'm just really excited to be able to be here and to talk to you lovely people, and this has been a really fun experience.
I was going to touch on that actually. When I was talking about coordinating a scene, it only takes one thing to destroy a scene. It can be a dog barking in the background, a plane flying overhead. It could be no one's fault. It could be one person who flubs a line, and then everyone has to reset and do it all over again. So it's really a case of the weakest link can break the chain. And the thing that was most, for myself anyway, motivating factor is I didn't want to be that weak link. No matter what, I did not want to let everybody else in the crew down, so I did everything I could to make sure I was on point. And hopefully that's what everyone else seemed to be doing too. That's where the teamwork really came in, was everyone pitching in and pulling their own weight. So there you go.
That was really profound.
That is profound.
Well done.
Yay.
Pull it out last second.
No, that's good, and I say ditto on what both of you said there. I think it's totally true. I think maybe this experience too is also makes me get excited more for independent film. I love big movies, totally good blockbusters, but there's so much good independent film happening, and I think if you just kind of start to look down a little below, what's just popping out in big theaters, and Loft hits it a little here, but even just kind of searching around, you can find some really cool stuff going on, and just seeing what's happening now with people, filmmakers with smaller budgets, and what they're able to produce and the content that they're bringing out. So it's that's exciting. That's exciting that can happen in this day and age. So yeah, and I'm super stoked to continue this.
My favorite hashtag is indie everything. I put that on my posts frequently. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
So quick question, what was the final budget when you you guys are all done, okay, sharing that number.
Marty, you would know.
We spent around $6,000 to complete principal photography, and then we probably spent another $6,000 in post, clearing music and stuff like that. So yeah.
So much less than the budget of 1 hour of television. Much less, like a quarter, or less than that even. And that's because everybody involved in this film gave very generously of themselves, and we were very resourceful. And so were many people who weren't really that involved with it were very generous with things that they lent us or they gave us or donated time. And as a result, the thank you list, the credits is very long because that's one thing that you can give back when people say, sure, you can shoot in my comic book store, you can borrow this or my bar or whatever. We tried to in the hotels. We were very straight up with the hotels. We said, we're shooting a film, we want to rent a room, we just want to let you know we're shooting a film. There's going to be people coming and going, lights and everything. We don't want you to think we're doing anything in there that we shouldn't be doing.
It's not one of those films.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And so we have another coming in. So just one last question, please, sir.
It's more of a comment. My name is Scott Fett.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, I
Hi.
connected on Twitter.
Yes.
And, I admire everything that happens here in Tucson. We spent a year in 2017 creating an ultra low budget SAG film, but we spent $80,000. And I was going to ask you, what are your plans for distribution? Because we've just had a great experience, and it's rising. We're getting close to 900 rentals a week.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Nice.
And it's starting to gain placement on Amazon. And you can do it yourself. You don't need a distributor, which I think also there's just an article out that kind of pans that. But Tucson is an amazing place to work and create. You know, you talk about locations. We filmed Colorado here in Tucson. We went to Mount Lebanon, 2 feet of snow, and then we were shooting on the golf course down at Skyline Country Club the same day. Just the variety of locations and the willingness of businesses and actors and artists, everyone to fill in here is amazing. So, you know, we're working very hard to promote that fact. We took it around the country. Film festivals won 7 awards, I think, and you know, accepted in 10 different film festivals. But that was it. We couldn't do it anymore. We screened it at the Loft twice for fundraising. Sold it out. The community supports film, and there are really good people supporting all that.
It's very true. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're here.
My wife is in London right now shooting her next thing, doing an 8-part mini-series on iPhone, and it's going to be off the charts stupid, and it's going to be fun.
Nice.
Excellent.
Creativity, you can do it all.
Well, and congratulations
cool.
on the success of your film.
Yeah.
It's richly deserved. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have another panel coming in. I don't want to take up their time. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're interested in being in our next film, please come see us afterwards. Thank you so much.
Folks, if you like Tucson films, we're actually premiering a Tucson fan film. We shot locally here, and everybody here worked on it. So if you like low budget sci-fi stuff, this is going to be one of them.